Hi, students. So I've been promising for a while that I was going to get back on and start adding some resources to help you with your Chumash story. So let me remind you again that most of you had completed your Chumash report before we left school. So I had almost all the Chumash reports done. What you're working on is not a report. What you're working on is a narrative story where you become a Chumash character and tell the story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end, has your character resolving some kind of conflict. So I'm going to share with you today this book. It's called The Chumash Through a Child's Eyes, and it's an excellent resource to start thinking about how a Chumash boy or girl would have seen their world. Okay, so the way the text is presented, you see it from the point of view of both a Chumash boy or girl and a boy, or sorry, both a Chumash boy and a modern day boy living in California. Okay. Right, so I'll let you look at the picture first and then I'll read the text. I woke this morning to the usual sounds. So you see both the Chumash boy and this boy waking up. The Chumash used a bowl called a mortar with a pestle to grind their foods. Seeds, vegetables, and sometimes meat were ground before eating. The mortar and pestle were usually made from sandstone. So there's a little drawing of a mortar and pestle. And if you look at the picture of the Chumash boy's morning, there's his mom, and she's sitting outside the tule hut. And the sound that he's hearing is the sound of her grinding what was probably acorns with her mortar and pestle. And we can assume that this boy is hearing the sounds of his mother preparing breakfast in the kitchen. As I ate breakfast, I thought about what to do today. Okay, so you can see the two boys eating breakfast, different ways. Sometimes the vertebrae or one of the backbones or pieces from a whale was used as a stool. Circular pieces of wood were also used for this purpose. The Chumash kept dogs as pets to guard against strangers and to help in hunting. So he's sitting on a part of the backbone of a whale. And a lot of you asked me if your story could have an animal character. And at first I was telling you, not any pets, not make it a wild animal. But there is evidence that Chumash did tame wild dogs. So if you'd like, no cats, no domestic cats, no horses, but a wild dog that becomes a pet of your Chumash character would be okay. My mother might want help with the cooking. So then you can see two scenes, one with the Chumash boy helping his mother cook, and one with this modern Californian boy helping his mother cook. And it says, in order to cook acorn flour, it was put into a cooking basket, not a pot, but a basket, with water. Then a stone was heated on a fire and placed into the basket. The hot stone made the liquid boil quickly and begin to thicken. When the stone was pulled out of the basket, some acorn mush would be cooked onto it. These chips were a great treat for Mom's helper. So this is what's happening in this picture. This is a basket, and you know that the Chumash wove baskets so tight that they could hold water. So this basket is filled with water. She's heated the stone in the fire. This might make you think of that book we read, The True Story of Stone Soup. Remember when the three brothers heated up stones in the fire and then dropped them into a hole in the sand that was filled with water? Well, this is very similar, except it's a basket filled with water. And into that water, she would add ground acorn flour, and that would create like an oatmeal. You can think of that. And what the text is saying is that stone is hot. So the oatmeal flour would actually kind of cook onto it, and it could be peeled off as chips. And so the Chumash boy or girl, if a girl was most likely the one helping, could eat those chips as kind of a special treat. But first, I will have to get the food. So here is what it would be like to get food as a Chumash child, and of course, getting food as a modern Californian child. So here, the Chumash boy is helping to collect the acorns by actually shaking the tree branch. Here's his mom collecting the acorns below. Nowadays we just go to the refrigerator and our parents buy the food to put in the refrigerator, and when we're helping, we just are taking it out of the refrigerator. This type of basket was used to carry acorns and berries that the Chumash gathered. It had a wide opening, and a handful could just be dropped over the shoulder and into the basket. Okay, so really cool basket. Before they were used, the acorns would be stored for a few months to dry out. So they'd have to collect the acorns a long time before they could actually use the acorns. I could go fishing. Okay, so we have the Chumash boy helping with the fishing and the modern Californian boy with doing fishing. The two children splash the water to scare the fish. So that's what the Chumash boy is doing. He's helping to scare the fish. The fish swim into the waiting net. The Chumash also used fish hooks and harpoons to catch fish. So a different method of catching fish, and a method that might let them catch a lot of fish at the same time. So you'd be thinking, maybe my character is going to catch fish. Maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe your character is the first Chumash character to learn that technique. Maybe I will take a bath. So here is the difference between what it would be like to take a bath as a Chumash child and what it's like to take a bath today. During a bath in the sweat house, a dolphin jawbone was often used to scrape away the dirt and sweat. Afterwards, it was common to jump into the ocean or a nearby stream to rinse off. Okay, and think about the reasons the Chumash did this special kind of bath. Mostly it was hunters who would be doing this, and they did it specifically to prepare for a hunt so that they wouldn't be smelled or sensed by the animals they were hunting. Compare that to just running the water into your bathtub and getting in every night to take a bath. It's very different. I could help my father work on the house. Okay, so here's the Chumash boy. He's helping his dad build the tule hut or add on to it. Okay, and of course, this is what it's like to work on the house nowadays. The Chumash covered their huts with tule reeds found in local marsh areas. The reeds were woven into mats. The mats were used as pillows, mattress pads, and to sit on. Remember, when you're telling the story of your character, don't have him or her getting into bed, right? They didn't have beds the same way we did. So they might be stretching out on a mat instead of getting into a bed. Also, there's no windows here in your tule hut. So think about the darkness that's inside the hut. They're not spending a long time in there. Okay, the huts are for sleeping and for to stay in when you're sick. But most of the day, the Chumash are outside the huts. Or we could work on the boat. Okay, and you guys are pretty familiar with the tamals. Okay, a modern boat. The Chumash word for the canoes they made is tamal. The making of tamals was a very special art done by men. A mixture of tar and pine pitch was used to help hold the planks together and to patch any holes. A lot of you have already been thinking about making a character who wants to be able to learn how to make tamals. You know that only certain men were allowed to do it, and so it was an honor to be a tamal builder, and no women. So you could have a female Chumash character who wishes to become a tamal maker. That could be your conflict. But my father might be busy painting. Okay, first we see Chumash rock art versus modern art. The Chumash made pigments, which is paints, by grinding natural materials into a powder. The powder would then be mixed with water or oil to form paint. Sometimes a section of vertebrae from a swordfish was hollowed out partially and used to hold the paint. The Chumash paintings were meant to be private. They were probably a form of spiritual or religious expression. So some of you are doing Chumash rock art as your part of your conflict. Maybe your character could develop, be the first to develop a certain color by finding a certain stone or certain seed or berry. Maybe your character is just trying to paint something. Maybe they keep having a dream and they're trying to be able to paint it. But just remember that it's not artwork. It's expression. It's showing something that's important, usually using symbols. Maybe a dream or something important that happened to the tribe or village. My sister is feeling sick. Here's what it's like to be sick as a Chumash boy or girl, and what it's like to be sick in modern times. Cups made from a green stone called steatite were used to drink tea from when one was sick. Teas were made from various plants chosen to cure certain ailments. The doctor or shaman would sometimes use a pipe to blow away the illness. So you guys studied the role of the shaman. Some of you are using the idea of a shaman as some kind of helper character for your main character, either giving advice or perhaps giving some medicine. These are the things that the shaman would do. And of course, being sick could be a conflict in your story. Maybe I will play games with my friends. The Chumash actually had a lot of different games. Nets were tied to a belt to carry tools like shells and also to carry food and other objects. The nets were made from woven plant fibers. Shells were used as bowls, spoons, and as digging tools. The Chumash played archery games, marbles, kickball, and a hockey-like game called shinny. So your character could be playing games. Remember, the boys had an area of the village called a playground in which they actually got to practice by playing games. Girls didn't, so maybe that could be a possible conflict for your character if your character is a girl. If your character is a boy, maybe he just wants to become the best archer in the tribe. So that could be a possible conflict as well. I hope we can go swimming. So we have what it would be like to be a Chumash character going swimming, or Chumash person in ancient times, and a modern day person. The Chumash made a paste using the mineral hematite, which is iron oxide, that they would rub on themselves. This red-colored sunscreen worked well. So you could have your character going swimming, and maybe a special little detail could be putting on iron oxide as a sunscreen. Little detail. Notice in this picture, her arms are red. That's because iron is red. Iron oxide is red. I could listen to music with my friends. So we have Chumash playing music. We have a modern day child listening to music, well, somewhat modern. The Chumash used a variety of objects found in their environment to make musical instruments. This rattle, looking at this one and also that one, was made by filling moth cocoons with pebbles. The cocoons were then tied to sticks that were bound together. So your character might invent a musical instrument. It would be interesting to research what kind of instruments the Chumash made. I've seen one out of turtle shells. I've seen rattles made out of deer hooves that were tied in a bundle. So your character could be a musician. But I think that for now, I will just find a place to relax by myself. I really like this picture because it could be surf beach, right? And if you notice, this is one continuous picture. Even though the Chumash boy lived a long time ago, and this boy is representing us today, both the Chumash and the people of Lompoc enjoy the same beach. We both walked on the same beach. We both walked this same land. We both use it in different ways, but we both use it to support our lives. So just be thinking about that. These are not the Chumash tribe. These are real people. Their descendants are still here. Some of you are related. And they also lived here a long, long time ago. All right, so remember when you're working on your story, I'd like you to start a Google Doc and share it with me so that I can also give you some advice and help you along the way. Okay, and I'll be including more resources later. All right, talk to you soon, students. Bye.